But you wanted to talk about the NFL changed the overtime rules.
So they changed the overtime rule for the playoffs.
Yep.
So now both teams get a possession, and if after the second possession, one of the teams is in the lead, then they win, and then if it's tied, then it becomes sudden death.
Right.
So I like this. I could understand if people were like, they were okay with it the other way. I think this is fine. I mean, I think, look, you're giving the other team another chance. I think it maybe creates some more drama, because with the coin toss, do you want to have the ball first or do you want to have the ball second? Trying to think yeah, that's kind of the main thing, and then it just creates more drama. But Rich Eisen was really against this. And this was kind of the main point that I wanted to make about this whole thing. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I think it's kind of interesting. But I feel like I've been hearing for several years people complaining that there's a coin toss. Usually only one team gets the ball, and you're not guaranteeing that both teams get a shot to have the ball, right? I feel like I was hearing that for years, okay? And then the NFL changes this rule, and then I start hearing people saying, oh, this is ridiculous. Who cares? The NFL doesn't need to make the overtime absolutely fair. It was like, I feel like there were a bunch of people who were complaining about this for years, and now you're like against this? And then the other thing was Rich Eisen was complaining about the unintended consequences. He's like, well, the coin toss still matters a lot because, you're going to defer, right? Because you want to know what the other team does to make sure you know what you have to do to score. But then the first team that gets the ball, they didn't know that the second team was going to score a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's called the sport. It's competitive. Like, you got to score points to win the game. There's pressure on you to put points up. Like, what is the problem here? The unintended consequences. There'll be more drama. There'll be decisions to get made. Like, what is the like? I can understand if you thought the other way was fine, but I don't really see what the big deal is with this. Like, it's fine. Like, what is the problem?
Yeah, listen, I would have been fine if they kept it the way that it was. It's perfectly okay with me. I don't think it's one of those things it's like putting more teams into the college football playoff. It doesn't solve the problem. It just changes what people complain about. So now let's go back to that Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills game, because let's face it, that's the reason the rule changed, right? So Kansas City goes down, scores a touchdown. Buffalo goes down, scores a touchdown. All the Chiefs need to do is kick a field goal. They kick a field goal, they win, and then everybody's complaining, oh, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah.
Buffalo could go for 2 when they score a touchdown.
Yeah, but it's not going to change what happens. Like, everybody's going to, no matter what the outcome is, people are going to complain about it. I think this is perfectly fine. I like that they differentiated this between the playoffs and the regular season. I think playoff games, you really need to try to decide who wins. Regular season games, it's nowhere near as important.
It's like I told you a couple months ago or whatever it was. I just think I think this is fine for most of the playoffs, but in the Super Bowl, I think they should play another 10-minute overtime period or something, because it's the last game of the year. So who cares about playing in a week? To be honest, in a perfect world, I guess that's probably what you would want, but you can't be doing that in playoff games because they got to play in a week. So, yeah, look, it is what it is. And then it's also some of these overtime games. It's like, I can point to the team that lost and go, why didn't you beat them in regulation? Right. The Bills, they should have won. They should have won the game, and their coaches blew it. I don't know what the hell they were doing with 13 seconds. So, it is what it is. And I do feel like it's one of those things, like, I agree with, people will complain about it. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, are you saying that you only would have been happy if the team that lost had won the game? Because I feel like basically what's going to happen is the first time this gets tested, which may be next season, something like that could happen where the first team gets the ball, they score. The second team gets the ball, they score. Then the first team gets the ball, they go down and win the game. And then people could still be unhappy. So, yeah, like you said, it doesn't really solve the problem. So it's kind of one of those things where, I'm cool with it. I like how it creates more drama. It creates an opportunity for more cool stuff happening. But it's not. I don't know. It's not that really that.
Listen, the NFL loves it. Longer playoff games, more chances to jam more ads in your face. Like, this is typical of what you would do when you got a successful business and people can't get enough of it. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. When you're a drug dealer and you have heroin and they want more of it, this is what you do. I get it.
Yep.
I completely understand that. But it's not. This isn't something. This is a great sports radio topic because there's really no answer and there's really no reason to argue about it. But you might as well because you got time to fill. So
I was, like I said, I was listening to Rich Eisen talk about it. He's just like, all the unintended consequences and all the decisions you got to make. And I'm like, you got to make coaching decisions in an NFL game. That's how it goes. Like, oh, there's pressure on you. Yeah, there's pressure on you. You're trying to win the game. What do you want? Like, what? I thought that's what we thought was cool about sports. There's pressure on you. You got to make decisions.
And it's not, and it's very rarely, if ever, going to come into play.
Yeah.
Like, it's statistically, the amount of overtime games in the playoffs is so statistically small, there's no point in even discussing it.
Yeah, and I will say this, I'll push back on the whole thing where people go, oh, well, you got to stop somebody. Dude, the way the NFL is nowadays, after 4 quarters, you're expected to stop somebody. Like, that's pretty hard. So,
yep.
Anyway.